Hey, it is Monday evening and I just got home from the gym. It's the end of March. It's about to be the start of April, and starting in April, actually the very last bit of March, Kevin and I are going to Bangkok for a month. I'm going to be training with Chat Chai and Karahat every morning. And we did like a 3-day test of this at the start of this month to see like whether we could even handle driving through Bangkok to do this. And it was really good to train with them consecutively, which I've never gotten to do. I've always just done kind of one-off trainings with them because I don't live in Bangkok. So it's really exciting because it's going to be this super intensive training and very different from my normal training schedule and things that I do, which to me is terrifying. I'm like a cat. I don't like things being weird and different, but given the way that I fight as like a rogue fighter going with no corner and like figuring my own shit out all the time, I kind of do that a lot, so I should be better at it than I think I am. It's kind of what we did actually. I was at Lana Muay Thai in Chiang Mai for 2 and a little bit of change, and then we came down to Pattaya to shake things up a little bit, to train with Sakman Kon at WKO, who I had met in Colorado, where I'm from, right before moving here. And through that experience is how we found Petrungrung, which is where I am now. So that actually was a really, really good experience, and I should be using that one as like the marker for how these experiences can be really good. But I'm a little bit terrified of the discomfort of things being really, really, really different. I know I'm gonna miss my gym. I'm gonna miss my routine. I'm gonna miss Jaidi. He's staying here. A woman is coming from America to take care of him, stay in our apartment, and take care of Jaidi. She'll be training at Petrungrung, which is really cool actually, to have that whole like give someone a little bit of an opportunity that they might not otherwise have jumped at. So she's coming out to Thailand for the first time to be doing that, which is really cool. But it's weird. This is a weird time for me. I just reached my 200 fights in Thailand. So my total fights is 211. 10 of those are outside of Thailand. 9 are in America and 1 is in Laos. So I have 201 in Thailand now, but that was like a huge benchmark for me that I just reached. And now I don't have any fights scheduled for April, like none, which usually creates a lot of anxiety in me. So it is a little bit, but it's also exciting because I'm doing something very different from what I normally do. I possibly will have some fights in April. I don't know really how my schedule's going to go around Songkran, which is the Thai New Year, and generally people take that time off, so I don't know what Chat Chai and Karahat are going to be doing for that end, but I tried to schedule myself a fight in Chiang Mai in case they weren't going to be around, but the Chiang Mai stadium that I fight at is not fighting during Songkran because people take Songkran off. So it's interesting. It's this dude at the gym who I don't know, but who knows me, was watching me do bag work, and he's like, "Sylvie, when are you fighting?" And I was like, "I actually don't have a fight scheduled." I'm like, "My miragan," which I don't say very often because I always have something scheduled. So that was a new and different experience as well. It's been a pretty intense week. Kevin and I went away for a week because we were traveling for my 200 and 201st fight. And so we went to Ayutthaya first to fight at the Wan Wai Nai Kanam Tom Day, which is the father of Muay Thai. So it's like Muay Thai Day in the capital of Siam. Really beautiful Ayutthaya. So we fought there and then went straight up to Chiang Mai to have another fight before coming back. So we were gone for a week, and then I felt super rushed about like coming back from traveling and then kind of immediately starting this thing that I'm really anxious about this month in Bangkok. And it's from the day we got back to the day we go to Bangkok is like 9 days, which to me is an eternity. If I have 9 days between fights, that feels really long. I feel like I'm chomping at the bit a little bit. So I thought it was going to be this really fast turnaround, and there are a bunch of things that I have to do in the few days I have left before we go, which is a little bit crazy feeling, but it's so much time. Like, days are so much time. But the day we got back, like the day after the night that we got back, I went to check on Snowflake, who's the dog across the street who I've been walking for about a year because he became chained 24/7. He chases and bites motorcyclists, so he couldn't be a free dog anymore. And he was going crazy being on a leash all the time, or on a chain all the time, because you can't do that to a dog. And so I was walking him twice a day, and he kind of became part of my life. And he got really sick about 2 months ago, and he lost a lot of weight. And so Kevin and I took him to the vet about a month ago, and he was diagnosed with a blood parasite that was causing some serious problems with him. He couldn't eat, like it was really painful for him to eat, so we put him on antibiotics, and he improved a lot, like from 0 to something, a lot, in the first week that he was on those antibiotics. So it was really promising. He put on 2 kilos, and while it was still painful for him to eat, he had an appetite, so we were feeding him what we feed Jai-D, because we make Jai-D's food, and it's like mushy, and so he was able to eat that, but he can't eat like chunks of food or like kibble, or what Thai dogs eat in Thailand generally is just leftovers from whatever people eat, and Thai food is not really inviting to dogs. It's got a lot of chilies and things in it that dogs shouldn't be eating. So for like a week his appetite was good and he was putting on weight, and so in his follow-up blood work it looked like things were getting better. And then his appetite kind of went away, and I was having a harder time giving him his antibiotics because I put it in his food rather than shoving it down his throat. And I left his pills with his owners a couple of times when we went to travel for something, and they were giving them to him. But then when we went on this trip this 1 week to go to Ayutthaya and to Chiang Mai, when we came back, he had regressed so bad, and it was only 1 week, and he just like went so far backwards. So the day after we had returned, we took him to the vet with the intention of like leaving him there for what we could afford was 3 days, just to try to give him some like intensive care treatment of, you know, a doctor looking at him, monitoring him, giving him injections if he can't take his medication, seeing if he can eat, because he couldn't eat whatever they were feeding him. And on the second day he was there, he just wasn't gonna get better, so he didn't. And we got a call from the vet. we got a call from the vet like the morning after we'd first put him in there, and she said that his red blood levels had dropped to half of what they had been, so that was really not a good sign. And then he just couldn't make it the next morning. So we got a call from the vet saying that he had already died, so there wasn't really much we could do at that point. People, when I post about Snowflake, people who love dogs have contacted and tried to find ways that they can offer support, financially help, so that he could go to the vet, which was really good. So there were people who helped finance his vet bills. There was even a man who paid for an extra day for him to be in the hospital, which is incredible, but he didn't make it that far. So all of this is to say that I have been pretty bummed the past 2 days, just because Snowflake was in a really horrible situation even before he got sick. It's not a life for a dog to be living, and it is a testament to what kind of soul he had that he was not more broken by that experience. But the idea of him getting better and then just being put back on the chain is not a great perspective. So hopefully he's more lucky in his next turnaround. And I think that the gesture of me walking him and trying to take care of him and trying to help him improve because I talk to his owner pretty frequently. I think that gesture, because it's so different from the way that he thinks about dogs and kind of more of a cultural view of dogs in Thailand, is very different from the middle class upbringing that I had in terms of how we think of pets. I think just seeing that contrast, the way that he thinks that what I'm doing is so crazy, like I'm an alien, like I don't know, it would be like rushing a goldfish to the vet or something. It by showing my love for him and my care for him, by it being so weird to his owner, I don't know, it nudges things. It just nudges and expands perspective in tiny, tiny bits. Which happens to me all the time here, because I'm not Thai. So when I find different ways to look at things, or I'm nudged towards a different perspective or a different way of handling things, is usually the big stretching points for me, which is in the don't be a Western drama queen thing. It's meaningful, it's big. So I think that experience ultimately has been a expansive one for both him and me, because the blood parasite came from a tick that ultimately got Snowflake so sick. I bought Frontline for the other 3 dogs that live there, and I'm waiting to see the owner so that I can explain to him that I'm giving this medicine, so please don't wash the dogs for a week, but also so that he can think about prevention. I'm going to keep buying the Frontlines for the dogs, but he can think about prevention in terms of what happened to Snowflake and avoiding that. He's a good man. He's not a bad man at all. It's just it's different ways of seeing the world. So because I don't have any fights immediately coming up, I kind of have this weird limbo feeling at the gym, which is like, it kind of feels nice and relaxed in that I can just work on things that I want to be pulling into my Muay in general, which I'm always doing, but there's always this weird like kind of stress because of the next coming fight that's like, will it be immediately applicable or not? And because I don't have that, I kind of feel like there's this degree of patience that's not even necessarily coming from me. Like, Pinu is more patient, and he is such a patient man. Like, the reason I think I've gotten so much better in the last 4 years is because he's so patient. It's an incredible gift for someone like me. But he's showing me things more than he normally does, which I really like. I really like this idea of like returning to a growth mindset, or like a growth status of a fighter, that he's really proud of my 200 fights. He was bragging about it to some people at the gym the other day, which sounds like, oh, well, she's got 200 fights, she's so experienced or whatever, but to get to 200 fights and be proud of that fact and then be like, let's make you better, because I tell him I need to change things about the way I fight, and these are elements of my Muay that I want to change. Like, he thinks I won my fight in Ayutthaya. He thinks I won it by a lot. I lost it by the judges. When I told him that I need to change my Muay, he kind of looked at me like, why? What's the problem? And I told him that it's not distinct, like that I need to have greater transition between the relaxation between things and then the explosion and explosive dynamism of my strikes. It kind of gets muddled. And when I explained it to him, he was like, oh yeah, you totally need to do that. Like, you don't have that. And it put the seed in his mind that I see that and I want to become that, so let's work on it. And so he's been working with me on it, which is really cool. It's one of these things that we like cycle through. Like the other day he started correcting my tie, which he never ever does. So I don't know. It's things, the ebb and flow of everything. Like you can't constantly be in this like, like when you're a baby and you're like shoving everything in your mouth, you're learning to understand your world, and like your information and instruction and all of this stuff is really rapid because you're going from nothing to something. And then as you get older, it's far more minute. You're still constantly learning, but it's not as dramatic as those like early stages. So I think that being that I'm not at like an early stage, it can appear as though I'm not given opportunity to learn, but it's there, and it kind of cycles back through and becomes more evident at times, which right now it's kind of evident, which is really cool. So I will talk to you guys soon because I'll be going to Bangkok, but I'll be trying to do that on kind of a like day by day basis because it's such an intense experience. I don't think that we can just do a bunch of like filming of my sessions and try to sort it all at the end of the month. It's just too insane. So Kevin and I are still trying to figure out how we're going to be sorting it, but it's a very intensive experience, and as much as I just yammered on about how nervous I am about the process, I'm really excited about it also. So looking forward to that, and yeah, thank you guys again for putting up with my babbling and for being so nice and encouraging about my 200 fight in Thailand mark, and about my new goals post. If you haven't read that yet, go look at it. It's crazy. I'm crazy. But yeah, tomorrow is Kevin and my 10-year wedding anniversary, so that's crazy. I'm old enough to have been married for 10 years. Yeah, so happy anniversary to us. And 6 years in Thailand is coming up next month. It's Anniversary Central. Talk to you guys soon.